what advice would you specifically give to small business owners and entrepreneurs to have the success that they, would like to have in the future in this changed forever post-COVID world?
What's happened in the last 14 months is extraordinary. You've seen this incredible digitization of the American economy, and the businesses that survived, including large ones like Nike even. Nike achieved something in 5 months that they thought would take 6 years. They're now 50% direct to consumer of all products, goods, and services all around the world. The same thing for small business in America. If you were able to figure out a way to sell direct to your consumer, ship the product direct to them, form a relationship with them, service them, provide them customer service, not only did you survive the pandemic, your margins are higher, because when you sell something direct to consumer, the only costs you have are customer acquisition costs and manufacturing and transportation logistics costs. So the margins can be as high as 90%. When you sell through retail, you only get a 50% gross margin. So what I would say to small business in America, if you haven't figured out how to set up direct to consumer, you should, because that's where people want to invest their money, their time, their capital. But also, those are the more successful businesses in America today. It's not that you don't have to sell in retail or have a storefront, but if you can augment that with direct to consumer, then you're building a real franchise.
Let's talk about pickleball. From my research,
Yeah.
It started back in 1965.
Yep.
But maybe just only 2 years ago, there might have been only, 2, 3, 4 million people playing it. Now it's gone like exponential.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll let you give the history and kind of this, why is it the fastest growing sport in America?
Yeah, depends on who you ask. I think it's just because it's very accessible. It's very easy to pick up. The learning curve is very short, and it's cheap. It's cheap to play. I mean, you can go get everything you need for $100 on Amazon. And then also the infrastructure, right? So any old tennis court, any basketball court, any hard surface could be easily converted into a pickleball court. Lots of people are playing in backyards or driveways or even in the street. So all those things just make it a very accessible and easy sport to pick up. Also, it's insanely addicting. When you play, you're going to play again. Very few people play just one time.
Pickleball went from nothing for 40 years, maybe longer, to now just, again, this moonshot. So is it because of the aging demographic? Is it, some marketing scheme that you created yourself? Are you the mad scientist? Maybe you're the Elon Musk of pickleball.
Yeah, well, he just tweeted the other day that he thinks pickleball is going to take down tennis, and that also pissed some people off, but it's cool to see that. But yeah, when we started, I mean, there wasn't even another Instagram out there with, over 1,000 followers. The only way to get pickleball news was this one Facebook group, the Pickleball Forum. Now that's completely changed. There's a new, my company's The Dink. There's a new The Dink copycat every single day, right? I think that it's weird. There's like the ratio of people who want to create content in pickleball to who play pickleball is like really high, because people who play it are super passionate. They want to tell everybody about it, and they want to make it their life and their career. So I think that's pretty interesting.
So most of our viewers and most of our listeners probably know you from Burn Rubber, okay? Or the over 50 sneakers that you've designed, okay? However, we're going to start with what you're doing now. Have you heard of this thing called the Distinct Life?
So the Distinct Life was something that I started originally in 2010. The Distinct Life was my creative outlet. I was designing shoes for Burn Rubber, telling stories about Detroit, like the spirit of Detroit. I did a workforce pack with New Balance where I talked about the blue collar and the white collar workers. It was the time when people were getting buyouts. They were being, the auto industry was in a tough place in 07, in 08, and our family members had to take buyouts. It changed our life. That was the reason I even came to Michigan. So I started using those stories that we were experiencing here in Michigan and getting them to the world, paying homage to those workers that our country, the back was built, our productivity from this state comes from these people. And a lot of times they don't get to shine. So that was important to me in 2010 to start telling those stories. So from then we told stories about the boxing heritage of Detroit. I've told stories about the spirit of Detroit, all using footwear and taking these. It starts with the design of the footwear, then you go into the campaign, and then all of a sudden people have these artifacts that we've created in their homes, and they're learning about our city or our story. So that's kind of what I started. And with the Distinct Life, I continued telling these stories, not necessarily the ones about Detroit, because I'm not originally from Detroit. So I was telling those stories on behalf of the people from the city that we serve and that we're around. But I wanted to tell some stories that were more, I guess, dear to me, special to me, the things that really made me move. So I started talking about the mission to inspire and the mission to help other people grow.
Isaiah, talking to you earlier, and again, knowing Coach Campy, and he said it openly on the podcast, so there's no secrets. Several of your teammates did go to other schools. They entered the portal, the same Star Wars, Star Trek.
Yeah,
I don't know where they ended up, but they ended up somewhere else. And they got very substantial NIL checks, if you want, whatever it's called. I don't know if they give checks or just zapped in their bank account, but they did have what we call a liquidity event. They got a financial payment to go to another school, and it was sizable. Let's say 500,000, 700,000, whatever it could be, which is a lot of money for anybody, especially someone in their late teens or early 20s. And I think these guys were like early 20s. But all that to say, you didn't just get it given to you. Like everyone here is going to say you've earned. And if the opportunity's there, even with your teammates, whatever the NIL is and collectives is one thing, but outside investment opportunities or deals you can strike, it's really based upon you and your brand. Is that about right?
It definitely is. I know Kepi doesn't really like it as much because not everybody has the money to be able to give to everybody and keep those players that we lost. But I mean, I understand them. You never know what's going to happen in your future. Honestly, you should go for what you can get now, get that, and then still be able to get better and produce yourself better and better. And those two guys left. They had another year. We miss them, but at the same time, you never know, honestly. And I respect it because they put in the 4 years, 5 years, however long they were at Oakland. They brought a regular season and a conference tournament championship. And then we had one of the biggest games of the year, this year. So you can't really beat that, honestly. And I understand Campy being mad, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure he understands too.
Well, I don't know if you thought I would bring this up, but you actually did that, I'm going to say 10 years earlier. You deleted or, shut off social media.
Yeah.
So can you just explain again to your listeners why you don't do it? And then to our listeners, our community, what your thoughts are about it now and in the future.
Okay. And I remember it was like Christmas Eve and somebody, there were a couple that were just really appalling comments. And I went, you know what? I don't know if we can curse on this. I won't say what I said, but you know what? To hell with this. I'm done. I deleted it all that day. And I go, I don't need this. I don't need any of this nonsense. The people who listen are going to listen regardless. And if they want to offer their opinion, here's how you can get a hold of me. Twitter is the equivalent of asking your worst enemy to knock on your door and punch you in the face. It's the dumbest concept in the world. I know Twitter was created for this community town hall, everyone's opinion matters. Well, here's the reality. A, not everyone's opinion matters because some people's opinions are abhorrent. Second of all it did was create echo chambers. It's tribalistic by nature. So now if you have an abhorrent opinion, you'll find others with abhorrent opinions and then go attack people who don't share that opinion. It's a complete waste of time. You're never going to change anybody's mind. No one wins fights on the internet. So you get to a point, and for me, I knew I needed to be happier in my life for what I had accomplished and what I had done. And one of the ways that I did that was take the nonsense and get rid of it.
We're just getting started. Yeah.